if you're buying a new launch or an under construction property. And for foreign buyers, there's an additional step. Under Malaysia's Housing Development Act (HDA), developers are legally. So vacant possession means the date the developer formally informed you that the property is ready to be handed over, not the day you actually move. Once the developer receives the written notice, they are given 30 days to carry out the rectification. But what if the developer doesn't take action? And here's a tip on how to think about MOT more strategically. Buying property in Malaysia is actually very straightforward, but many buyers still feel stressed, not because the process is hard, but because they didn't see the full picture early enough. So today, I'll walk you through the entire property buying process in Malaysia, step by step, including the real cost to plan for so you can buy with confidence, not guesswork. If you're buying your first home, upgrading or investing, this will help you avoid surprises and plan properly. Hi everyone, this is Ray. Welcome back to another episode of the Malaysia Property Market Review series. So let's break down the first step. The first step is placing a booking fee. This secures the unit and lock in the price. Next, you submit loan documents for a bank loan application. So this process usually takes around 2 weeks depending on your income profile, existing commitments such as the housing loan, car loans, personal loans, PT/PTM, ASB financing, credit card outstanding, and the bank's overall assessment. Once the loan is approved, you will have clear visibility on your approval loan amount, the interest rate, and your monthly installment. Now, this next part is only applicable to under construction projects. If you're buying a new launch or an under construction property, payments are made progressively based on the construction stages outlined in the SPA. This applies to loan buyers where bank releases funds by stages, cash buyer where payments are also made by stages, not all at once. A typical progressive payment structure looks like this. According to Schedule H, Stage 1, upon signing SPA, that's where you start paying 10% down payment. Stage 2A, completion of foundation work. Stage 2B, completion of reinforced concrete frameworks. Stage 3, completion of brick walls. Stage 4, completion of the roofing, wiring and plumbing. Stage 5, completion of the internal furnitures, including the plastering, hurling, basic fittings. And Stage 6 is the completion of external works and common facilities. Finally, the final stage is when you get your keys, or that's what we call vacant possession. So that's where you pay the balance payment before key collection. Your housing agent should be able to provide the progressive payment schedule which outlines the timeline of each construction stage. Number 3, SPA signing, which means formalizing the purchase. For cash buyer, the SPA signing will proceed once the lawyer has completed preparing the necessary documents. For loan buyers, after loan approval, you will proceed with SPA signing. For loan buyers, this is straightforward. And for foreign buyers, there's an additional step, signing a foreign consent application which requires state government approval. That's a normal process, just something buyers, especially foreigners, should be aware of. Number 4, progressive payments. It is structured and not random. If the property is under construction, the payments are made progressively based on construction stages. So this system spread out payments, aligns financing with construction progress. For buyers who plan their cash flow early, this phase is manageable and predictable. Now let's look into part 2, which is after completion. This is where ownership becomes tangible. Firstly, you need to pay the miscellaneous fees, which is the standard handover cost. Before key collection, buyers typically pay 3 to 6 months maintenance fee in advance. The TNB electricity deposit, water and utility deposits, these are standard charges required for account activation and building operations. The key is expectation management, knowing they're coming. So once the fees are settled, you collect your keys. Moving on, you'll be going into the defect checking phase to protect your unit. Under Malaysia's Housing Development Act (HDA), developers are legally required to rectify defects within the defect liability period, which starts from the vacant possession date. The defect liability period is typically 24 months from the vacant possession date. So, vacant possession means the date the developer formally informed you that the property is ready to be handed over, not the day you actually move in or collect the keys. So, how does the defect rectification process work? Firstly, the buyer must notify the developers in writing of any patent defects, meaning visible issues such as cracks, leaks, uneven flooring, and faulty fittings. Under Clause 30 of the Schedule H in the SPA, once the developer receives the written notice, they are given 30 days to carry out the rectification. But what if the developer doesn't take action? If the developer fails to rectify the defects within the initial 30 days, the buyer must notify the developer again, informing them of the estimated rectification cost and give the developer another 30 days to take action. Then, if the developer still fails to act after this second notice, the buyer is entitled to engage their own contractor to rectify the defects. And the buyer can then claim the reasonable rectification cost. So how does the cost recovery works? Under the third schedule, item 5 of the SPA, the rectification cost can be claimed from the 10% stakeholder sum held by the developer's solicitor. Once a valid demand is made, the stakeholder sum should be released within 30 days, in accordance with the SPA terms. So here's some practical advice for buyers. Throughout this process, buyers should keep written records of all notices sent, document defects with photos and videos, retain quotations, invoices, and receipts. Keep a clean communication trail. This document is crucial if cost recovery becomes necessary. If you don't want to do it yourself, you can always hire a professional defect inspection team to check the unit for you and prepare proper defect report. So the defect liability period is not just a formality. It's a legal structured protection for buyers as long as the process is followed correctly. So the next stage is then renovation. So renovation depends on your purpose, whether it's for own stay, rental, short-term accommodation. Clear objectives help keep renovation efficient and cost-effective. Then next will be the move-in and rent-out stage, where at this stage, the property starts serving its purpose, either as a home or as an income-generating asset. Now, owning property comes with ongoing responsibilities. We have annual and monthly fees like the quick rent and assessment, which are annual charges paid to the local authorities. In KL, that's DBKL. The exact amount varies depending on the property's location, size, assessed annual value, so there's no single fixed number. But to give you a practical sense of the scale in KL, for most residential condos, quick rent is usually a small amount, often tends to a few hundred ringgit per year. Assessment tax is higher and typically ranges from a few hundred to a few thousand ringgit annually, depending on the unit's assessed rental value. So this is not a monthly cost, it's paid once a year, usually in 2 installments. It's not expensive on its own, but it is a recurring ownership cost, so it should always be included when you are planning long-term affordability or rental return. Next is the maintenance fee and sinking fund, which is paid monthly. Maintenance fees are used for the day-to-day running of the building, things like security, cleaning, lift maintenance, landscaping, and management staff. And the sinking fund is different. It's set aside for a long-term majority expenses such as repainting the building, major lift replacement, or large structural repairs in the future. In Kuala Lumpur, for most condominiums, the combined maintenance fee and sinking fund typically ranges from around 30 cents to 60 cents per square foot monthly, depending on the project and facilities. Projects with more facilities or high service standards will naturally be on the higher end of that range. This is a cost that continues whether you stay in the unit or rent it out, so it's important to factor into your long-term planning. Next, we have the MOT, RPGT, and selling costs. So there's one more cost that many buyers ask about, the MOT, or the Memorandum of Transfer. For local buyers, MOT is charged based on a tiered structure, meaning the rate increases as the property value goes up. For foreign buyers, starting 2026, MOT will be charged at 8% of the property value net. Now, some people see this and think That's expensive. But here's the context that matters, especially for expats. Even with this, Malaysia is still selectively cheaper compared to many other countries. For example, in Singapore, foreign buyers are subject to additional buyer stamp duty (ABSD) at a much higher rate on top of existing stamp duties. So, while MOT in Malaysia is a cost you must plan for, it's still far more competitive regionally for expats looking to own property in Malaysia. And here's a tip on how to think about MOT more strategically. If you're buying for investment, one practical way to look at it is to extend your rental holding period. For example, renting out the property for an extra year to help earn back the MOT through rental income. And this doesn't apply only to investors. Even if you are buying for own stay, you can still choose to rent out the unit for a period of time to help cover part of the MOT, offset your holding costs, and earn some extra income before selling later. It's simply about using the property more efficiently during the holding period. Now, moving on to the RPGT, the Real Property Gain Tax. RPGT applies when you sell a property at a profit, and it's calculated based on your holding period. Both locals and foreigners are subject to RPGT, but the rates and rules are different, so it's important to know which category you fall under. Let me give you a simple example for foreign buyers. For foreigners, after holding the property for more than 5 years, the RPGT rate is 10%. And this part is very important. RPGT is not charged on the property price, it's charged on your profit. So, for example, if your S&P purchase price is 1 million ringgit and you later sell it at 1 million ringgit, there is no profit, so no RPGT payable. But if you bought at 1 million ringgit and sell at 1.5 million ringgit, your profit is 500,000 ringgit. So in that case, your RPGT would be 10% of the 500,000 ringgit, which is 50,000 ringgit. Because of this structure, a general recommendation is to sell only after holding the property for more than 5 years. Because after the 5-year mark, the RPGT rate is lower, which means you get to keep more of your profit. Selling earlier doesn't mean you can't make money, but the tax impact is higher, so timing becomes much more important. And this is why property investment is not just about buying the right project, it's also about having a clear exit timeline. So when you look at the full picture, buying property in Malaysia is actually very structured. The process is clear, the cost is known, and most of the so-called hidden fees aren't hidden at all, they are just not planned for. Once you understand the buying procedure, the progressive payments, post-completion costs, MOT and RPGT, and the ongoing holding expenses, property stops being emotional and starts becoming a planning exercise. Government charges like MOT and RPGT are policy-driven. You can't avoid them, but you can plan around them. Whether you are buying for OA or for investment, the outcome depends less on luck and more on how well you understand the timeline and cash flow. So the buyers who do well aren't the ones who rush in. They're the ones who buy with clarity, hold with intention, and exit with timing. So if this video helped you see the market more clearly, feel free to hit the like and subscribe button. Till we meet again, ciao!